everybody. Hello again and welcome back to another episode of the Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Make some noise, clap it up, get excited wherever you are. Tell everybody that you know that the Welch Report is here with another jam-packed episode for you today as we cover the world of the NBA with free agency finally winding down a little bit so we can evaluate exactly who are the winners and losers of this offseason, who set themselves up to actually be a contender to win a championship or who set themselves up to fail next year, as well as, my goodness, it finally happened. After all we thought was never going to see the light of day in terms of Damian Lillard actually leaving Portland, we didn't think it was going to happen. It actually happened. Damian Lillard has requested a trade from the Portland Trail Blazers, and now we get to figure out where exactly he will land, if he lands anywhere at all. Will the Trail Blazers keep him? Will he actually get traded to Miami? Or will another team actually swoop in and pick him up from the jaws of mediocrity that is Portland as of right now? And we'll also cover some more stuff as well as the show goes on, because trust and believe, we got a lot to cover on this show. So as we always say, leave a like on the video, comment thoughts and opinions, subscribe to the channel, and please share with everybody that you know so we can build up this empire of a channel and of a show together, because I can't do this without you, and hopefully you all enjoy what I'm doing. Oh boy, I think y'all are loving it, because hey, the subscriber count's going up at least a little bit, so hey, I'm doing something right, apparently. So, but without further ado, let's jump right into what the world we got today with free agency. That's right, the winners and losers. Who exactly is the biggest winner with all the moves that have been going on in the NBA? And we have a lot of legitimate contenders, but I think the real big winner for NBA free agency would be the Los Angeles Lakers. And no, it's not because they're just the most marquee team. It's because of the fact that they have successfully done what I feared they were going to not do in this offseason, which was retain and grow. I thought that wasn't going to actually happen when it came to the Los Angeles Lakers, but they actively were able to keep many, if not all, of their key pieces from last season, as well as build upon that with, which is important, youth and athleticism. We have been dogging this team for all of last season, at least the first half of last season, and the season before that, because they were old, they couldn't shoot, and this was a team built on a lot of veteran players that were way past their prime, at least on what they could perform on the role that they were on the Lakers. Let me. They were essentially put in a position where their body and their production weren't able to actually take this team over the hump like many people thought that they could, but they had no wiggle room, especially with the Russell Westbrook situation. All that stuff. They got, a veteran. Yes, an MVP who was well past what he was coming into that season, and traded away all their shooting. Got rid of everything that would have made Russell Westbrook actually work, which was floor spacing. Now, second half of the year, what do? They actually trade Russell Westbrook and get youth, athleticism, and actual floor spacing, and boom, all of a sudden they go on a tear. All of a sudden they go from a fringe contender to even make it to the playoffs, dare I say even the play-in game, to actually a solidified playoff team that actually gets to the Western Conference Finals and loses to the eventual champs in the Denver Nuggets. Something that we thought would never happen, as opposed to what was the outlook of that team coming into that year. And they actually turned it around. But like what happened in 2020 when they won a championship, history showed that they were actively going to let go of everybody and not keep what they had and build upon it, but instead let it go for whatever reason. To say we can rebuild, renew everything and still make a run, which again failed abysmally over the past, ever since those years when they won a championship in 2020. Afterwards, it's been knocked out, and knocked out. This has been their deepest run since that point, but even still, they have not looked in any way, shape, or form like the team that won them a title in 2020 in the bubble, when they were made up of everything that you needed for a championship team. Now, they actually seem like they took heed on that and won't make the same mistake twice because now they re-signed Austin Reeves, re-signed Rui Hachimura, re-signed D'Angelo Russell. Two of those three players, Reeves and Russell, are probably going to be, not probably, are going to be cornerstones for this franchise for years to come. Austin Reeves, 4 years, $55 million. Rui Hachimura, 3 years, $51 million. This is great because now you got a long-term situation, two big pieces on that team that are only going to get better and better and better, especially Rui Hachimura, who I am very high on as a player, and Austin Reeves, who we all know is a X factor, fills that role that Alex Caruso was on the Lakers when he was on the team, but to a degree, even more so because he's a better playmaker and a better shooter from outside the arc and can be not just a sporadic offensive talent for your team, but he can be a legitimate leader on the offensive end to be able to, when LeBron or AD is off, he can be the guy to really be this, not just a spark plug, but a carrying talent for the offense on this team, like he was in the playoffs multiple times, coming up big, and when everybody else was cold, being that guy that can come in and really put buckets on the board when everybody else is off of their game. He is very much so a pivotal piece to what this franchise can be going forward in the future, even after LeBron and AD. And currently with LeBron and AD, both of those pieces put them in line to really be a championship contending team, even more, dare I say, even more so than they were last year. Because now, on top of that, they got D'Angelo Russell, like I said, 2 years, $37 million. Yeah, they sacrificed Dennis Schroeder, who was a better defensive player and who did play well last season, but it's not bad because D'Angelo Russell is legitimately a good point guard. And it's hard to find good offensive point guards that you can rely on offensively through the regular season. And so it's smart to keep him on the roster. Hence why they kept him and let Dennis Schroeder go. Because yes, you're not as great defensively, but offensively, we know that you can do a phenomenal job throughout the regular season. And in the postseason, if you're playing even better, phenomenal. Great. It just adds to what we need to go get to a championship. But if you don't play well in the postseason, okay, great. You're still a good facilitator on the floor. And if you need to just be a knockdown three-point shooter, you can also be that as well. Contrary to what happened last, or at least in the postseason, when you came out a little short. You did have a lot of clutch situations when D'Angelo Russell was one of the key markers to actually get buckets on the board. And so it's smart to keep him. Hence, they kept him. And on top of that, they signed Gabe Vincent, signed Torian Prince, signed Cam Reddish, and signed Jackson Hayes. All of whom are lengthy wings and or bigs that can pull from three as well as be very good defensively. Cam Reddish is a good defensive player, and if he pans out like I think he can pan out on the offensive end, oh shoot, you got yourself a legitimate sixth man coming off the bench and being a phenomenal player. Really a phenomenal player. He can steal the ball, use his length to get into passing lanes, and is athletic enough and lengthy enough to be able to take advantage of opposing defenders when he's got the ball in his hand. And if given the opportunity to ISO, he can be something serious. On top of Torian Prince, a career 35+% three-point shooter, and a great defender who's gone under the radar because he doesn't get a lot of shine in the avenues that he's played at, or in the teams that he's played at, because it's not necessarily a big market. Now he's playing in LA. People are going to see this brother is something legitimate in terms of a core role player to take you beyond where you were. You might not seem like it, but mark my words, pan it out, he's going to turn into a legitimate shoot type of player. I wasn't expecting this only because you didn't know him from the past couple years he's been in the league, because he hasn't been on relatively big name squads. And then on top of that, Jackson Hayes and Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent, we know, had a phenomenal postseason on the Miami Heat and did great and played his way into being a player who people want to have on their squad because he's a knockdown three-point shooter, can space the floor, and show that he can be that it guy, that X factor Not just in terms, again, not I brought it the X Factor with Austin Reeves and Alex Caruso. This is different with Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent can take over an offense on his own. When he gets hot, he has shown, like on Miami, against teams like the Boston Celtics, who were favorites to go and get to the finals, he will come up big when the moments are brightest. Yes, I know he didn't have a great finals performance, but the performance before that, oh, he was phenomenal. He was stupendous. He was going stupid. It was insane the amount of big buckets that this man was hitting. And it was on top of being great on the defensive end of the floor as well. He has some dog in him on the defensive end. I'm not saying he's a phenomenal defender, but I'm saying he does bring that energy and he does bring that hustle that you need on the defensive end of the floor. Hence why he's getting paid 2 years. Was it 30 million? Is it 30 million? I believe it's 30 million. Yeah. No, excuse me, 3 years, $33 million. So now you get a core piece from a team that already won or got to the NBA Finals, and you bring a veteran leader who knows what it's like to be on the biggest of stages and has that experience. That is something very much tantamount to championship basketball when teams are trying to be above what they were last year. When teams are trying to get over the hump, they need players like this. And he is a phenomenal player, both in his actual production and in his mentality. For the younger players that haven't gotten to that point of greatness in their career in terms of getting to the NBA Finals, even the Western Conference Finals. Again, people like Cam Reddish or people like Jackson Hayes. These players can use him as a veteran to say, okay, how do I need to compose myself? Which is phenomenal. And then you get Jackson Hayes, who fills the role of another big man, athletic big man, a legitimately rim-protecting big man who can get up, catch lobs, and essentially be a highlight film. And when everything goes right for him, can legitimately be something serious on the defensive end. Now you're looking at a roster that looks like the 2020 team. Has a lot of size, length, shooting, spread the floor, multiple different players who can actually handle the rock outside of LeBron, and multiple players that can actually score outside of LeBron and AD. And on top of the already defensive hustle that this team has shown all year last year, oh yeah, they won. They retained everything that they needed to and built on youth, length, athleticism, and shooting without sacrificing much. This is phenomenal. This is great. Coupled with LeBron coming back, I believe he's getting surgery on his foot, coupled with him getting surgery on his foot and coming back at 100%, coupled with Anthony Davis, again, say what you want about him always being hurt, actually played more games than I expected this season and in the postseason. Actually powered through injury. And yeah, he had a bunch of up and down games, but if he gets out of that up and down rut and gets consistency, my goodness, even with his inconsistent self, they were still able to get to the Western Conference Finals. With them being more consistent with this reinvigorated roster of youth, shooting, and all-around athleticism that can be even better on the defensive end with players like Taurean Prince. This is a legitimate squad that can look to say, oh, we're threats to get to the NBA Finals this year. Yes, they are. Especially with people like the Denver Nuggets losing Bruce Brown, who was another pivotal point on their team that got them to a championship. Losing him, they got weaker. Lakers got exceptionally stronger. This can be a situation where the Lakers can be looked at as, hey, this looks like a team that can actually get to the NBA Finals. This looks like a team that can compete with Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets this year. The only thing that they need to do to make sure they solidify this is get another center. The only thing that they're lacking from a makeup of a squad that looks like the 2020 team is to get somebody else that can actually be a body on Nikola Jokic. Get another legitimate center to rest Anthony Davis from playing down low. Allow him not to get the wear and tear of injury and of just outright, getting hit all throughout the season. Doesn't have to play that many minutes, save him for the postseason, get another big man. Bobo's on the market. Maybe they're looking to get him. Some reports are saying that the Lakers are looking to actually get Bobo because now he's been waived from Orlando. But maybe you want another physical center that can really take the punishment of the paint. That may be what may be better for the Los Angeles Lakers. But even still, if they get Bobo, a 3 big man rotation is exactly what the Lakers need. That's it. They get that, they are set to make some legitimate runs in the postseason this year. And on top of that, the Kings won as well because they were able to retain everybody that they needed. The Mavericks, I'm not going to like DeMontis Sabonis, like Harrison Barnes, with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. Yeah, they look poised to make some big noise next season because they haven't lost anything. Thankfully, they haven't lost anything. And the Mavericks, I'm not going to say they necessarily won, but they haven't gotten worse. And apparently, Kyrie Irving is happy on Dallas because he said he wants to sign at a place where he can not only be himself, but also have some security. And apparently, the Dallas Mavericks are, in fact, that franchise. If that's the reason why he signed with them for 3 years, $126 million. So him and Luka together are a great tandem. However, I still don't think that's enough because the rest of the roster around them just does not look poised to make as big of a move in the postseason as they want to take advantage of Kyrie Irving's prime and Luka's ascension into his prime come next year. It's not. They didn't overpay Kyrie Irving because Kyrie Irving is worth that amount of money. The problem is I don't think they did enough to get the rest of the pieces necessary to maximize the offensive production and playmaking of Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. Because one of the gripes is defensively they are not great. And you need both sides of the ball if you want to actually be able to win a championship. And as much as I love Luka and as much as I love Kyrie on the floor, both of them together, while it sounds phenomenal and it looks phenomenal, does it play to where you can actually say, yes, this can take me where I need to go? And I don't think the answer is yes. And it's not because of those two. It's because of lack of everybody else. I respect Dwight Powell. Seth Curry's a phenomenal three-point shooter. That's not enough. Even getting a hopefully reinvigorated Dante Exum on a 1-year, $2 million deal, I don't think that's enough to actually get what they need out of this team to really be the threat that they think they should be. They have to get more players. They got to get somebody else. They got to get some more bodies to fill out this roster to really have some more depth in order to really have a shot at making a run at the finals. Because now it's just going to be an exciting team that looks like they can be a fringe contender to upset some of the bigger teams in the West. But inevitably, they're going to fail because they just don't have enough at the moment. Will that change? Who knows? Offseason's still happening. But I just don't see it currently constructed. They can actually make the noise that they think they can make with the roster and with the duo of Luka and Kyrie. Because I don't think they have the surrounding pieces to fully maximize what those two can do. And speaking of filling out the roster, this brings me to one of the losers of this offseason, which is the Phoenix Suns. Because they signed Eric Gordon, Drew Eubank, Damian Lee, Kenta Bates-Diop, Kesmet Mute, or Metu, again, brother who used to play for the Spurs, re-signed Josh Okogie and got Yuta Watanabe. Now, Eric Gordon, Josh Okogie, and Watanabe, good. Everybody else in that team, absolute terrible. See, this is the problem that I had with the Suns. Yeah, they could sign and fill out the roster points, but they have no depth whatsoever. Nobody, nothing off the bench outside of Eric Gordon, Okogie, and Watanabe. That's it. Watanabe is the only Watanabe, Okogie, and Eric Gordon. That's it. They're essentially going to have to play an 8-man rotation the entire time. There's nobody else on this team right now with the picks that they picked up that can that actively makes a difference in any way, shape, or form. They're right back to they don't have anything. They don't have anything. Eric Gordon, okay, he's a three-point shooter, but is lacking on the defensive end. And they don't really have a bunch of defense already with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. Couple that with, okay, you got Yuta Watanabe, again, a three-point shooter who showed his worth on Brooklyn, which is great. But you already have scoring. You already have offensive ability. You got one of the most dynamic offenses right now in Booker, KD, Beal, and Ayton. Booker, KD, and Beal alone. One of the most dynamic 3-level scoring trios that we have in the NBA right now. You don't need offense. You needed defense. And they don't have that. Damian Lee ain't a great defender. Jop ain't a great defender. Metu may be a something. And by something, I mean just a body. But that's it. You don't got anybody else. They didn't do anything to make me say, oh, okay, for the little amount of money that they had, they got pieces that look like they can actively contribute to make this team somewhat well-rounded, outside of just solely offensive-minded. But they didn't do that. Hence, to me, they lost free agency because they haven't gotten the pieces necessary to build the roster needed to at least make them somewhat not one-dimensional. Not just we're going to outscore you and that's it. Because that happened in Brooklyn and that didn't work out. Now you get a team that is so top-heavy. If anything happens to anybody on that starting rotation, like I said earlier, done. Like I said in the past on another episode, anything happens to this starting rotation, they are done. Finished. Nothing else this team can do. Nothing this team can do. This is going to be bad for the Suns. Not because they don't have talent. No, yes, they do. The problem is they don't have the correlating pieces to maximize said talent or even support said talent. And this proves it. They paid too much money for Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal together that now you don't have any room to really get anything of substance. And because you couldn't get anything of substance, now you can't get anything to hide the weaknesses on your team. There is no hiding this. You can't stop anybody. And you got 3 respectable names on that roster that can look to actually in some way, shape, or form, make something happen on any side of the ball. Any side of the ball. And it just showed how lackadaisical. No, excuse me. That's the wrong word. Not lackadaisical. This showed how bad paying so much for that trio is going to be. Because now it shows that the infrastructure of the Suns in terms of the roster personnel is going to be, we have a shiny penthouse at the top of the building. Everything else is held together by sticks. That's what this roster looks like. Maybe 3 support beams, and everything else is sticks. That's it. That's what this roster is. So it's not going to be good for the Suns this season, at least from what I can see right now. Because they didn't do anything. They weren't able to get anybody. that was actively able to at least plug up some of the holes in their on offense or defense. It's literally just bodies. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see. Oh, it's gonna be fun to see, all right. Not just the offensive production that they're gonna have, which is gonna be, again, a phenomenal show. But once somebody on the bench comes in, what is that gonna look like? This is gonna be very interesting. Very interesting indeed for the Phoenix Suns. And in terms of winners and losers, we can't leave out the Golden State Warriors because they signed Draymond Green to a 4-year, $100 million deal. And I think that puts him as the loser category for the Warriors because they could have used that $100 million to actively get somebody relevant. Now, I don't say that in disrespect to Draymond Green. It's not because Draymond Green isn't relevant. No. But you have to understand, yes, I get that they are the core. You don't want to break up the core. Understandable. But looking at it from a basketball mindset, when you got Draymond Green on that deal for 4 years, $100 million, you could have gone out and gotten a lot of other good pieces. A lot of other good pieces to actively set yourself up for success this season with a better, well-rounded roster. Rather than trying to stick with the guy that has won you championships for 4 years. And that sounds crazy, I understand, because why would you go against somebody, why would you go away from what's worked and gotten you 4 chips in the past? Well, it's because of the fact that his decline has been so detrimental. By the time year 2 comes around for Draymond Green, he is going to be so far away, a shell of himself, so far from any offensive threat whatsoever, and also defensively, nowhere near where he was during the prime of his career. Nowhere close at all. And with the landscape of the NBA seemingly getting bigger and bigger and bigger, with people like Victor Wembanyama coming into the league, and who knows what that could do for scouts next year, looking to get bigger players that can also do everything. As much as I respect Draymond Green, it's looking like he's degrading as a talent while the NBA is progressing to where he won't be nearly as feasible to use as he once was. And because of that, I don't see why they gave him 4 years, $100 million. 4 years, 60? Okay. 4 years, 70. Okay. 80, you're pushing it. And I'm not using, he's a champion. He's part of the core. You can't break up the core. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. When it means that you got a mind that you are in line to get even better. Which brings me to the other part of this show, Damian Lillard asking for a trade from the Portland Trail Blazers, which, again, we all fully support, thank goodness. But the reason why it's so bad is because you could have used that money that you paid Draymond Green to go get a lot of good pieces, good assets that you then could have used to go trade for Damian Lillard instead of trading for Chris Paul. Or even, dare I say, pick up some pieces with having Chris Paul on the roster and then trade away Chris Paul with the pieces that you got from the money you would have paid Draymond Green and gotten somebody like Damian Lillard from the Portland Trail Blazers. Because right now, Portland is looking to trade Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard has finally requested a trade out of Portland to the music to all of our ears as NBA fans. And because he's finally done that, we now get to actually see him succeed on a good roster. He wants to go to Miami. Absolutely. Make that a known destination. All the cryptic stuff that he was showing on social media, all of it is true. And he actually wants to go there. However, last thing that I'm going to say about Golden State, they could have gotten him because Reports were saying that Damian Lillard actually would have wanted to go to Golden State if they hadn't gotten Chris Paul. But even if they did get Chris Paul, like they actually did, if they didn't pay Draymond Green that money, they could have gotten a lot of assets, let Draymond Green walk, and then gotten Damian Lillard to pair with Chris Paul, or to pair with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and have a new big three, while still having enough to be able to get some other pieces. Now you get probably the best. Now you get definitively one of the best offensive backcourts we've ever seen, with time to grow and a legitimate shot to win. That's why I say the Warriors are one of the losers, because they missed out on an opportunity to put themselves back in contention to be, hey, this team can actually go back and win it again. Because now that window's gone. In my estimation, that window's gone. Yes, Steph is in his prime. Yeah, Klay is still Klay, but he's a lesser version of Klay. And Draymond Green is a way less version of Draymond Green. And all the young pieces that they have are not panning out at all. Whether it was James Wiseman, whether it was Kuminga, whether it was Moses Moody, all of them are not panning out. So because of that, they look like they lost his free agency. But going back to Damian Lillard, now that he's going away from Portland and wants to go to Miami, can Miami make it work? Will they make it work? Well, if they do make it work, I don't know how good it's going to be. Not because Dame doesn't fit with the Heat culture, because absolutely he does. Dame absolutely fits with the Miami Heat culture. Dame fits with what Miami stands for. Him and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo would be a phenomenal trio. Absolutely. And he'd buy into that city like no other. They would embrace him with open arms. The issue is, what would they have to give up for him? And what they would have to give up for him would be people like Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, or Duncan Robinson. And because of that, they won't have a whole bunch of pieces to build upon. Understand this. They gave away, or they let Gabe Vincent walk. They let Matt Strus walk. Two of the biggest contributors to why they're in the final, they got to the NBA Finals this past season. Both of them coming up clutch, all postseason long, playing well above their ability. And hopefully they sustain it. But they didn't match the offers, and they got, again, they let them walk. And now, what Portland's going to be looking for, since they won't be able to get just a big-time one-to-one star that's on the level with Damian Lillard to trade away for, they're going to look for a lot of pieces. A lot of pieces. And Portland, because they're going to be looking for so many pieces, from Miami, it's going to take, they're going to gut them. They're going to gut Miami to get Damian Lillard. Or excuse me, to get him to Miami. Portland's going to gut Miami to get him to leave them. In order for Miami to actually get Damian Lillard, they're going to lose probably Hero, Lowry, Duncan. Two of those three are gone. And most likely a couple draft picks. They can't even use Victor Oladipo because he's already out. So it's not that it doesn't look great to happen. I don't know if it will happen. Because understand, Portland can actively keep Damian Lillard. Portland doesn't have to trade Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard can stay right in Trailblazers Nation. If Portland so chooses to not move him at all, because he's still on the contract with them. Yeah, they can vet who is out there. But even the vetting process is hard because Damian Lillard, per reports, is seemingly discouraging other teams to pick him up by calling and say he'll be a disgruntled star. He won't want to play for you. Don't try to make an offer because he doesn't want to make a move for you. He doesn't want that. And if it was going to be Golden State as his other alternative option, well, they are completely out the running to make any moves. Completely. Because who are they going to trade? Clay? Who are they going to trade? Draymond? They're going to do that now that they paid him. No, they ain't. They're not going to do that. And so it's a real conundrum of how this Miami situation is going to work, because the amount of stuff they're going to have to, Miami is going to have to give up to actually get Damian Lillard to them is going to gut their roster. And now they're going to be essentially rebuilding back to a championship contender. Yeah, they're going to have a great start with Bam and Butler and Dame, but filling out their roster is going to take about a year. And Dame wants a contender, and most likely a contender. Now, if he's willing to wait, okay, fine. But if Dame wants to go to an actual contender, maybe that's not the move. Maybe the move should actually be OKC. Shocking as it sounds. Maybe the move should actually be Oklahoma City. Reason being is because of the fact that OKC had so many assets that they can choose to send out. The Thunder have so many assets, so many trade picks, so many pieces just stockpiled away that they can move around, that they could trade for Damian Lillard and still have enough to make a bunch of trades with their picks to get legitimate names to surround Damian Lillard and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now you got a great dynamic duo with a great young core, people like Josh Giddey and a returning Chet Holmgren, who's going to be in his rookie year on his rookie deal, with Lou Dort, who's a great defender and 3-and-D guy, phenomenal 3-and-D guy. And you got enough assets to still be able to build even more on that. Oh yeah, be prepared to see OKC potentially have a shot at getting them. Because despite Dame calling people off, Portland's going to get what is best for them. As much as Damian Lillard is ingrained into Trailblazers Nation, as much as he means to that organization, it's still a business. And this business is going to get the best that they can get for the value of who they're giving up. And since they're giving up somebody like Damian Lillard, best believe they're going to try to get everything. And if they're trying to rebuild fully, it makes no sense why they wouldn't look at somebody like OKC to get a whole bunch of draft picks and a couple, not all, but a couple of good young players and send Damian Lillard to Oklahoma City. It's perfect. Because now you got a bunch of draft picks that you can use to build around Anthony Simons, Sheldon Sharp, and now your new 5-year, $160 million man, Jeremy Grant. And specifically on Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant is the whole reason why Damian Lillard wants out. Damian Lillard gave you all the time in the world to show me that you're going to make something big. Show me that you're going to do something serious. Drafted Scoot Henderson. Boom. Got another similarly young dog. Okay, maybe something can happen. Maybe something can transpire with this. Maybe you can build upon this now and get some more pieces. But then you go and choose to pay Jeremy Grant 5 years, $160 million. A player that is a phenomenal role player, a phenomenal starter, a great starter. Nowhere close to an all-star, nowhere near a superstar, nowhere near a great needle mover for what Portland is right now. And you pay him 5 years, $160 million, and you're essentially paying him as much money as a running mate of mine? No, I'm done. Because you all don't want to actually win. Absolutely. You don't want to win. So I'm out. The Blazers put themselves in this whole situation with them getting Jeremy Grant. If they didn't get Jeremy Grant, use that money to actually pick up, oh, I don't know, a Kyrie Irving. Pick up a couple, take from the Lakers. Take Austin Reeves. Take Rui Hachimura. Take somebody like a Harrison Barnes. Even somebody like a Chris Middleton. Use that money and make hard goals at getting a lot of other pieces to bring to Portland. And this is the best you can do? Oh no. Yeah, we're done. I'm out of here. I am out of here. Portland, you robbed this man of his prime. He's still in his prime. You robbed this man of over a decade of excellence. All because you are so inept at actually getting people to play for you. Yes, Portland is not a big market. Yes, it doesn't get a whole lot of play when it comes to other big name stars saying, oh, I want to play for you. Many stars don't want to play for Dame just because he's in Portland. If he wasn't in Portland, people would be flocking to him. That doesn't mean that you as an organization shouldn't do your best to actually get people to come there. By throwing the blank check at players who actually deserve it when they're actually open. Because you can actively go out and make a winning squad by just paying people money that they just can't refuse. You can do that. You did it for Jeremy Grant. You could have gotten a legitimately good piece with that amount of money. But you didn't. You chose to not do anything but settle. And because you settled, you found yourself in this situation. This is on you, Port. You are the one that caused all of this to transpire. You are the reason why Damian Lillard doesn't want to be with you no more. He gave you chance after chance after chance after chance for a decade plus. And then you went out and got scooped, showing that you were more inclined to move on. And then you get Jeremy Grant, a player, again, a good player, nowhere close to a $160 million player. Just like somebody like Fred VanVleet is nowhere close to a $132 million player. And yeah, I can hear you now. The market wasn't that big on stars, so these players could still demand money. That doesn't change the fact that these players don't deserve this much money. They don't. They don't. Any other year, all these players will be signing $50 million a year or less. Jeremy Grant, $50 million or less. Fred VanVleet, $50 million or $40 million or less. More likely. If he wasn't a marquee name in a small free agency market, devoid of very big needle movers. This was the prime opportunity actually for the Trailblazers to actively get a bunch of solid, young, actually effective pieces to give Damian Lillard to make him want to stay with Scoot Henderson. And give both of them a platform to where, okay, this rebuild may not be a rebuild. It may just be a legitimate means to be successful. And you just threw that all away. Threw it all away. You did this to you. And because of that, you deserve everything that's happening to you. Forget Portland. Because y'all haven't tried. You have not tried legitimately to build a roster that is actually contingent, or excuse me, up to the level of contingency that Damian Lillard deserves. Because he's such a big star. Yeah, he deserves to actually have a shot at winning a championship. And you have robbed him of that despite all of his patience. So no, pay him $35. Pay Jeremy Grant $160 million. Go ahead. And be mediocre for as long as you care to. As long as you care to. Because you did this to you. And I can't wait for Damian Lillard to get out there. I can't wait. I know you have a right to keep him. I know you can absolutely keep him. I hope you ship him off. I really do. I hope you get gypped robbed. Oh, the rug gets pulled under you. So Damian Lillard gets to go to a legitimate contender with all their pieces, and you just get a couple draft picks. That's what I hope happens. Because you have successfully done what Cleveland did to LeBron. Robbed him of an actual shot at working with a coherent team. Yes, LeBron got to the finals. That's just a testament to just how great LeBron was on a team whose best player was Zydrunas Ilgauskas and or Larry Hughes. And every other player on that team would not make a starting rotation. If the G League was around back then, most of them would be on there. Most of the players that played on that team would be on there. This is a team that without LeBron was sub 30 wins. Damian Lillard, without you on the Trailblazers, your team is going to suck. With you doing all you could, they still suck. So, Blazers, you brought this on you. You made this mistake. You stupidly paid somebody that is a great role player $160 million as if he is a superstar, as if he is an MVP candidate, as if he is one of the top 25 players, top 10 players in the NBA. Oh, no. And you did this to yourself. We're going to see where Damian Lillard goes because free agency is still happening. And to be a fly on the wall in some of these talks that are happening behind the scenes, until it ends, we still got so much more to cover. But until then, this has been another episode of The Welch Report. I've been your Jean-Luc Welch. You've been my phenomenal viewers and listeners. My goodness. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Keep it locked right here because we got so much more to talk about on the shows coming up. Please leave a like on the video, comment, thoughts, and opinions. Subscribe to the channel and share the channel with everybody that you know so we can build up this empire together. I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been beautiful. Peace and love. We are out of here.